Ricky, my friend. Don Human. Everyone says Tony Ball. We played fantastic rugger in Nelspruit, but we could only play Tony Ball because of Daan Human, the most lovable, everyone's favorite scrum coach in South Africa and possibly the world. So I'm going to give you 10 things you should know about Daan Human, and I got this courtesy of rugbyworld.com, your international competitors from SARugbymag. Don was born on the 4th of March 1976 in that beautiful city called Bloemfontein. His name is Daniel Cornelis Francois Human. Francois. He's simply known as Don. He attended HTS Louis Boerts in Bloemfontein. Tell me which other alumni from that school have gone on to represent the Springboks. There's three of them. There's three.
None.
1, 2, there's 4. Psh. AJ Fenter. The Raymond Rooley.
Oh.
Oxenchair.
No.
Yeah. And Opa Mahuje.
Wow.
They all went to HTS
What an array.
Louis Boerts. He also played alongside Rassie when they were at the Cheetahs. He then moved to Cape Town and played 26 Super Rugby matches for the Stormers between 2001 and 2004. He was drafted into the Springbok squad in 2002, where I got to meet him. I was the communications manager at the time. He played 4 tests. He started 2 against Wales. He came off the bench in big wins against Argentina and Samoa. He moved to Toulouse in 2004, played 169 games over 8 seasons with the French Giants. He won 2 Heineken Cups, 2005 and 2010, with Toulouse during this period. After working with the Cheetahs forwards, Human took the Free State head coach reins in the Supersport Challenge in 2017 Currie Cup. 2019, he served as a scrum coach at the Cheetahs as well at the Bulls. And then he went to the Bulls for Pro 14 and 2020. Matt Proudfoot left the Boks, and Rassie Erasmus called him up, and Jacques Nienaber, along with Dion Davids, to work the Bok forwards. He was the scrum specialist. Dion Davids, obviously, the forwards coach. And the rest, as they say, is history. In Chasing the Sun 2, Daan Human became the most loved coach of them all because he said, you don't scrum against machines in a game.
Wow.
You scrum against people. Now, what people don't know about Daan Human, what Rugby World doesn't know, is I've got another yarn about Daan Human. So
You can never get enough stories about a scrum coach, mate.
So it was the year 2008. We were in Papillon.
Oh.
Percy Montgomery was hosting a braai on behalf of Gerry Brits, and it was his birthday.
Gerry Brits.
Joe Gillingham from Safari Joe's had bought a spit, and he was doing it for us. Henry Talagi was there.
Oh, to be like.
There were a few other guys there, a few other South Africans. Philip Berger was there. And we're having a wonderful time. I was over there because I was spending some time with Monty before writing his biography. And in came Don Human, and I was standing there, and I hadn't seen him for a while. We hadn't seen him since 2002.
Okay.
And he came over to me and shook my hand. He was there with his wife and kids, and I thought that's very nice to see Don again. And he said to me, do you know that you wrote a story for Sport 24? And I said, Don, I write a lot of stories for Sport 24 columns. He said, do you know that you wrote a story about the worst ever Springbok 15? So I said,
Starting to ring a bell.
I vaguely recall being stupid enough to do that.
Yeah.
And you know, as one does when you're in your early stages of your career, well, not too early back then, but you tend to do stupid things like, let's write the ugliest Bok 15, the fattest,
I literally
the
did
worst.
that one. Yeah.
And you think it's a lot of fun until it affects someone. And Don says, do you remember who you picked at Lucid prop? And I'm like, I actually don't, but I guess it was you.
The punchline here is not going to be somebody else.
And Don was like, played for, won for, 100% record. And I was like, European champion to lose. And I'm like, well, I can't argue with that. Don, my humblest apologies. I was an idiot. I should never pick that team. And look how you've proved me wrong. You've come to Toulouse. You're an icon. And he became this legend at Toulouse.
Yeah.
169 matches. And I said, how about I write a story about just what you've done at Toulouse? And he said, thank you. I appreciate that. He forgave me. He said the Lord had forgiven me, his family had forgiven me, and everyone moved on with the afternoon. So here again, many years later, a public apology to Don. Sorry that I was such an idiot, picking you in a team I should never have picked. But I can tell you now, if you've got to pick a scrum coach, the best in the world, I'm picking Daan Human.
Oh, beautiful, mate. What a way to wrap up the show.
Thanks, man. It's been great being with you guys today. There is no Bok Rugger on. There's no Bok Rugger this Saturday. There's no Bok Rugger for the next 3 weekends.
Oh, no. Yeah.
But in November we'll be back. I did get some communication from Rassie Rasmussen. I asked him how many players he's taking on the end of the tour, and he said, well, there's still 3 test matches, 33 players. So it will be interesting who's going to take. But that's the subject for next week when we chat about the potential of who's going. Because I need to just read it from, what's his name, Hendrik Kroenier. I'll read it this weekend
You'll
in the
have it
report.
first.
And from once I get that, then I'll kind of put it in, okay? So we'll chat about the 33 that will be going next week. For now, we're going to chat about the team that was. We have been asked by so many people to pick our Rugby Championship Team of the Year. I don't know why they've asked us, because they played in Nelspruit. They won 48-7. Pick those 23, and they could be the Rugby Championship Team of the Year. But we put our little minds together in the earlier part of the week, and I'm going to lend it over to Ricky, who's going to tell me about his team.
Do you want me to read my whole team out to you?
I want you to do it and give me the raw while you do it.
You want the raw?
I want it in the Ricky accent.
Okay, we will do it from number 15, all the way down to number 1. We start with the entrees, the backs, and we get to the main course, the tight 5.
And I need an explanation.
I will tell you. Number 15, I took Will Jordan. He plays for New Zealand. He's the fullback. To me, this guy is the greatest fullback in the world today. He's an incredible player, Will Jordan. Always finishes. I give him the ball, he scores a try. It's that simple. It's a formula. Cheslin Colby. What more do I need to say? Right wing. Jesse Creel, outside center. Dukes, inside center. Mateo Carreras is my surprise pick at number 11. I picked somebody from my country, my countryman. He's small, but he's dangerous. And I like that about him. Sasha at 10. Another countryman of mine at scrum half, Gonzalo Bertrano. 31 years old, but he plays like he's 29. At number 8, surprise pick, the Wallabies, Harry Wilson. Big unit, big beast. No wins. Number 7, Peter Steph the Toy, Sia Kolisi, the captain. At number 6, Ruan Norkia. At 5, Irvin Easterbeth. At number 4, Frans Malhaber at 3, Malcolm Marks at 2, and the great Oxenche at number 1.
That's not a bad team. I mean, you always love the underdog, Harry Wilson.
Underdog.
I mean, I tried everything to find a Wallaby. The closest I came was George Gregan because of his great commentary and his great analysis. I couldn't find a Wallaby to put in my team. I wanted to pick all 15 Springboks, but I thought that would be unfair to a few players who... The discussion here is form team. So would I pick Malcolm Marks and Bongi ahead of any other hookers in the world? Without a doubt, I would do that. But they alternated during the competition. Jan Hendrik got a little bit of game time. But the guy who was the most consistent for me was Cody Taylor from the All Blacks, because he really was kind of doing the job on his own.
Right.
To see what was coming off the bench, okay? But Oxenche, I'm with you there, consistent. Francie Malhaber, no one seems to rate him. When I look at the overseas guys and they pick a world pack, that's Lomax because he can offload in the tackle. It's some other guy because he can play out in the wide channels. But no one says pick Francois Malhaber because he scrums the shit out of anyone who comes up against him. He hits more rucks than most loose forwards. Attacking rucks, defensive rucks, and he makes loads and loads of tackles. And I think he smokes 40 a day as well. I mean, brandy and coke, cigars. He is the ultimate prop ambassador. All sizes, all shapes. But they tend to overlook him because he's not doing a round-the-back reverse flip pass.
Exactly. I don't know what that's about. You saw what happened. Tyke Furlong started passing the ball and his scrumming went down.
No, but I mean, it's we rave about the Boks at the moment. It starts with a tight head.
100%.
And we saw that
First
with,
name on the team sheet,
We
mate.
saw that with Wilco Lowe and the Bulls. Wilco missed last week's URC game with a late injury. He was withdrawn, and that Bulls pack just wasn't quite as effective, wasn't quite as strong. We saw what Wilco Lowe and on the Titan and Gerard Steenekamp on the loose end did to that Leinster pack in the semi-final of the URC. So Francie Malherbe, just unrivaled since 1996 as the best tight head to have played for South Africa. 76 test matches. He's going to go on and play 100. He wants to go to the next World Cup. But there's a reason our pack is dominant. Daan, he's working the magic, but he's got an incredible tight head. Great backup in terms of reserve depth on the tight head side with the best informed loose head Oxen Chair at the moment. Predecessor Stephen Kitsov, one of the best, and then just some mongrel and grunt as your back five of your forwards, and that's why Eben, we're both consistent there. Mm-hmm. And then for me, the forward find of the tournament, Ronald Kier, it's some would say our seventh choice lock is the best five in the Rugby Championship.
Correct.
32 line-out wins, just ran that Springbok line-out so well. Stepped in and has an engine on him like Franco Mostert. And so he's been brilliant. I can't go beyond Sia Khaleesi at number 6. Awala Satori is an 8 who played 6. Great impact when they eventually picked him. When Blackadder was kind of like withdrawn because of injury. So they stumbled on Wallace when they finally gave him game time, and he will be there for the next 100 tests if he stays fit. Peter Steph de Toy, we're both consistent there. Jasper Visser, I thought he played in patches. I thought Harry Wilson was brave because he was leading the Wobblies. But Ardie Severe, for me, was the most consistent 8, even though I'd like to see him at 7 for the All Blacks, but not against us. He can stay at 8. And then with you, I also went with Betronau, Gonzalo Betronau, who plays for Cardiff, played 44 matches for the Jaguares, 69 tests for the Pumas, started in 5 of the 6 tests, was to me the most consistent. When I looked at nothing great with New Zealand, we played all our scrum offs, so no one really settled into the groove there. And there wasn't a hell of a lot coming out of Australia when it comes to 9. 10, I thought Sasha, just the impact he had in Australia, fantastic in that Ellis Park test, came off the bench, did some things in Cape Town. The most power in terms of influence in the side that won the championship. Damien McKenzie, he may have started 5 and come off the bench. I thought he was a 6 out of 10 at best. Australia don't have a 10. And Argentina mixed the match as well at 10. Good players, but I think for impact, it had to be Sasha. I liked Caleb Clark on the left wing, really powerful, did well, troubled everyone he played against. I like the fact that you like Carreras, but when it comes to Clark or Carreras, I would have Clark in my team. Damien Dialandi, a no-brainer there. He's definitely going to my team at 12. 13, special mention to Jesse Kriel, but I did really enjoy Lucio Cinte. He plays for Toulouse, the Argentinian outside centre. Earlier in the tournament, fantastic in New Zealand, fantastic when they played in Australia and also dismantled the Wallabies. Cheslin, again, you don't go beyond Cheslin. Best player in the world when it comes to all-round athlete. Him and Peter Steph de Toy. One's a forward, one's a back, but the two best players in the world. And then I love Will Jordan as a fullback, as a winner, but he was poor on the wing when he came back into this Rugby Championship. He was substituted in a couple of games. He was moved to fullback. He was poor in Cape Town. He did all right in Sydney, and then he was very good in Wellington. Sydney, he wasn't even going to play. Bowden Barrett was the one that they picked to play at fullback, and he was a late withdrawal. So on historic form, Will Jordan will make any team, be it on the wing or fullback. But purposes of form team in the Rugby Championship, I'm giving it to Apalele Fassi, who was outstanding when given the chance. Played 4 of the 6 matches and really ended it as the form fullback and one of the form players in the championship. So that is my team, loaded with Springboks. Your team loaded with Springboks. They won 5, lost 1 with the last kick of the game that they could have won it. Worthy winners. Only their 5th Rugby Championship title in 29 years. So kudos to the All Blacks, 20 wins. We have 5, Australia 4. And the Argentinians, they are coming. It's not going to be if they ever win the Rugby Championship, it'll be when. They are good enough to win it at some stage. You still with me, Zels?
Oh, mate, I'm yeah. What I will say on Harry Wilson is he made the most tackles in the comp. I thought the one good news story for Australia in the Rugby Championship was the evolution of that back row. Fraser McWright was also close to making my squad here. I thought him, Harry Wilson, and Valentini really stood up. And if there was, any glimmer of hope for Australia rugby, I think that the back three there, the back row, put their hands up quite nicely. And obviously they're playing in a losing team behind a tight five that's going backwards. So I was impressed with their performances. McWright is trouble at the breakdown. Wilson is a big unit, and Valentini is a competitor. So kudos to those guys there. Jasper, I don't know whether the way the Boks are playing suits his style. So I think he may have paid a little bit for that. And then Will Jordan scores tries whenever he touches the ball. The guy's phenomenal. He just comes through in the clutch. As much as he did struggle at times, I thought his substitutions were more down to Razor than necessarily his form. I think Razor's got his selections completely wrong in that back three. And we've spoken about Mark Tellier a few times. I like the fight in Carreras. He reminds me of Colby in a way. A little whippersnapper that likes to throw a few punches. But it was close. And Curtly Orange is a guy who's kind of overlooked. He was among the top 2 or 3, I think, in the comp for line breaks. So even though he didn't round them off, he created opportunities for us. And then Caleb Clark scored the most tries, I think. And then I think that's pretty much... Yeah, only other sort of mention I wanted to give out there was obviously Satiti at blindside flank, who I thought was very good for the All Blacks. And then Tamaiti Williams at loosehead, that backup loosehead for the All Blacks.
He's going to be something. He's going to be very, very good, very big.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a beast already, eh? It just seems like a likable fella.
I do like him, mate. And he's one of the first gen guys that don't come with the baggage of playing South African teams in Super Rugby. He's one of the first gen All Blacks who are coming into this rivalry without that. He'd never played the South African teams in South Africa in Super Rugby.
And neither had Wallace Satiti.
Exactly, mate. These next gen All Blacks are going to be a problem.
You think?
I think eventually they will be, mate.
That 2026 series can't come. That tour can't come soon enough.
Mate.
3 test matches, 4 matches against the URC teams, potentially a 4th test match on neutral ground, to have the All Blacks in South Africa for the best part of 6 weeks, and then for us to go to New Zealand in 2030 as the Springboks and play all 5 Super Rugby teams, 3 test matches, and maybe 1 in Hong Kong or the States on the way home. Who knows? But that's something to look forward to. Next year, obviously, we said we go to New Zealand. We play 2 tests as the Springboks against the All Blacks. That is going to be a ripper. They'll be better by that time. Hopefully, we will continue to get better and get stronger. What I've noticed this last week is so many foreigners coming out and finally acknowledging the quality of this Boks team. I mean, how can you not? But ex-players saying one of the greatest teams ever. Certainly, they consider it the greatest Springbok team in professional rugby. But getting its kudos right up there with the mighty McCaws All Blacks of 2011 and 2015, and that Springbok side of 2009. Now, we asked you, subject matter, email us, keo@keo.co.za, drop us a kind of mention on X or Instagram or whatever, SA Rugby Magazine's platforms. If you want us to discuss anything, we got a very good rugby question from, what's his name? I put his name down here somewhere over, I'll get to it now. But Mr. Bardenhorst, I think it was Mr. Bardenhorst, who asked, why does the number 5 lock always call the lineouts, and why did the Springboks give that responsibility to an inexperienced player like Nortje when he had all that experience around him? So because Zels is a coach, he's going to give you an answer. But over and above that, we got hold of John Dobson, Nick Mallett, Hanneke Meyer, and who was the 4th one? Jake White.
He jokes.
And the most important one was Jake White, because Jakey coaches Ruan Nortje. He picked him and he made him his captain.
Yes.
And the point that Jake makes, as Nick Mallett does, is Ruan Nortje is not inexperienced. He's been leading the Bulls lineup for the last 4 years. He's very experienced, and he may be inexperienced in terms of test matches, but he's not an inexperienced rugby player. So if you want to know what they had to say, I've got a voice recording from Hanneke, and I've got a voice recording from Jake, and I've got 2 great WhatsApp messages, one from Nick and one from Dobbo, and it's going to be on our WhatsApp channel, and it will drop at about 5 o'clock this afternoon. This is Thursday. First Thursday is in Cape Town. 5 o'clock this afternoon, you can hear and read what 4 of these great coaches have to say. One about Ruan Nortje, but also...
Did you mention Rito?
And Rito.
Rito
And
Van
Rito.
Bron,
Rito, the forwards coach for the Stormers. Zels got the message from him. I got it from the other four. So we're going to drop all their answers in there. And it made for very insightful reading. Great question as well. Great rugby question. And part of our show is to entertain with humor, with insights. But also, if we believe we have to go to the best in the game to get an insight, we'll do that as well. But you have to get in your level. How many levels do you have?
Level 3s, mate.
Your level threes. Just summarize it quickly in layman terms. Why the 5 calls?
Well, you pick your 5 lock to be your line-out guy. I mean, he's generally the tallest guy in the team, generally your best jumper, generally quickest off the ground. So he's your specialist line-out man. And so it's like saying, why do you have the fly-off kick for poles? Well, you have the fly-off kick for poles because generally he's the guy who prides himself in goal kicking. Your line-out guy is generally the guy who prides himself in winning line-outs and stealing line-outs. So a great point made by most of the guys that checked in with you on that answer is that in obviously modern professional rugby, everything is about analysis. So your line-out guy is going to be the guy that you give that task to go and look at video clips, break down opposition trends, their formations, what sort of setups they like and where they like to jump and how they like to move. So that is one element. The other one is the physical thing that I mentioned with him being able to get off the ground quickly and being naturally predisposed to getting high in the sky. And I suppose when you get to the line-out, the guy that's done all the homework can read the opposition setup in terms of where they want to contest. And if you need to move the target, he's the guy best equipped to do that. So he's also the guy that in training is working with the hooker on timing and on that familiarity, that connection. So that is the reason. It's not that he has to call it. It's just generally that's the guy that gravitates to that role.
And interesting, we should get that question about the 5 lock, because watching Justin Marshall and Jeremy Paul, I enjoy their pod, the good, the bad, and the rugby, Australia, New Zealand. Watching them yesterday, they picked their Rugby Championship teams, interested in the way they picked them. But when it came to them raving, and Jeremy Paul especially raving about the Springboks, raving about the Springbok pack, said he's never seen as dominant a pack in his life. He's never seen 4 scrums like he did in Elspeth in the first 5 minutes. Jeremy Paul, a World Cup winner with the Wallabies. He played over 100 tests for the Wallabies as well. And he did a big shout out to Eben Etzebeth just for what he's done. But when he said for him, when it comes to locks in the world, there's nothing that compares with Victor Matfield. He said you never wanted to be an opposition hooker, knowing that Victor Matfield was kind of playing against you that day. And then he told a great yarn. If you go to their potty, you'll enjoy it. Between minutes 27, I think, and 45, they talk about the Boks and they talk about their Rugby Championship teams. But he talks about Victor just squaring him up at the set, engage, open his bind, and he just clocked him.
Classic.
And he said it was a great uppercut that Victor gave him. Most would expect him Bucky's obviously to give it, but it was Victor who gave it to him. And he said he chased Victor down and basically looked up him at all 6'8" of him. Victor told him, Paul, just get out of here, go back. And Victor was that kind of guy, like your ball is my ball and my ball is my ball. So the other great story about Victor, and he obviously became very refined the older he got, he became the senior statesman. But when he first came onto the scene, he was an animal, okay? He was an enforcer. And Robbie Kempson tells the story when they were playing together at the Boks. He said, hey, you've gone soft. The first time Victor played against him, and Kempo was one who liked to mix it.
Yeah.
He said he looked up and there came a little short jab from Victor. So I think people forget the Victor in these early days. The tough bugger who came out of Griquas, played for the Cats before he went to the Bulls, and obviously made his name alongside Bucky's as the most feared second row combination in the world. So whilst Eben is now 128 tests and counting, the most capped Springbok of all time, one of the greatest, the guy with 127 tests, 5 lock, nothing like him in the professional game. Probably the closest would be a John Eales that came to him in terms of all-round ability. But Victor, talented, Jeremy Paul telling the story about watching Victor play against the Waratahs, breaking the line, chip kick, gather, collect, over in Sydney, I think, with just Chris Whittaker on his ankle. So as much as there's a shout out to Eben, Victor, his career lives on forever. And he is someone, and Hanneke Meyer, who coached him for the best part of a decade, he said, you talk about 5 locks, you talk about their value in the team. Victor Matfield changed that role in the professional game.
Big time. I mean, and like you say, he was a line-out specialist, and his impact, enforcer guys
physically you feel the impact of those guys. You're getting punched in the teeth, you know, you're getting hit at the breakdown. But Victor changed the shape of the game in the sense that he could call moves on your ball at the lineout. And when the lineout is the richest source of set piece tries, and he takes that off the table, it changes how you're going to have to play to win a game. So his like literal impact in a game was humongous, arguably the most out of all of those guys. The guy that could take the opposing lineout off the table, different level.
I mean, can you imagine Victor in this team now at the prime, in his prime? And Eben as a senior statesman, which is like a Buckies, but Victor Matfield just commanding and controlling everything. And a Farid Dupree at 9 at the moment in this team.
Jeez,
Wow.
Farid Dupree,
that would be the end. We're going to chat about that just now. You may notice that Zels has got something very special next to him today. It's called his ego.
Jeez.
Didn't expect that.
Yeah.
So we asked people to kind of send in mails to us, talk rugger, ask us what you want us to chat about, because all we really want to do is entertain and talk rugby, okay? It's like every South African male, and I think a lot of females now as well. They just want to talk about the Springboks and just talk about how great it is to be a Springbok supporter. In all my years of writing about the game and commentating, and I started in 1992, and it started with a defeat against the All Blacks, 27-24, too late Don Heuer tries there, and then 26-3 in Cape Town, 1992, and we lost 26-3 to the then world champions. And I just remember that game for Nas slipping with a kick, and it was like, guys, he was one of the best in the world, and we've come back into international rugby, and this is what we see. And we were just embarrassed in that. For us to finally be there all these years later and to be embarrassing the opposition, humiliating them, it's just been fantastic. But we're also community-driven. Zels' daughter, Mac, 9 years old, wonderful dancer, great swimmer, doesn't want to go to the Olympics, wants to do it recreationally, but she was a gold medal winner, nationals with her dance group last weekend. So congratulations,
Thanks,
Dad.
matey. Thank
you. Must
you.
be a proud dad. And
Yeah.
to Taryn, Mum, congratulations. All the hard work of taking Mac everywhere. Every Saturday, Zels is somewhere at a dance competition. She's the youngest in her group. They won. It was just fantastic. So gold and glitter in the Nell household.
Thanks, matey.
And then also in the Stewart household, there's a young man called Sam Stewart. His dad dropped me a line, Jason Stewart, and he said, you guys keep on asking for Bolton, okay? My son wanted a dirt bike. We know it as a scrambler. And the dad said, that's fine. And the mom said, I think Sal's on. She said, that's fine, but you have to earn it. So he has gone and he's become a Bolton maker. At age 9, it's called Sam's Dirt Bike Bolton, and it's just the best.
It's good stuff.
And they dropped it off last night at my place. I had a taste of it. I bought it in for Zels. He's beautifully put their Zels and Uncle Ricky, put their Keo. And we just want to say to you, Sam, it's delicious. It tastes
really is
brilliantly. It's something that can taste brilliantly, but it's scrumptious. Okay?
Yeah.
And again, to your...
Tastes like a bit like Yamaha Suzuki. I'm not sure what bike he's got, but I can...
Yeah, and it's not Frankie Fenners,
Three-stroke.
okay? Jason didn't go down to Frankie Fenners and just buy like kilograms and kilograms.
Jason.
This is made in the house, and you can contact the dad, Jason, at probytech.co.za. It is on the screen. And if you want to put in an order and help him get his dirt bike, he's a big rugger fan. He's a big Boks supporter, and I'm
Yes.
assuming he's a big Stormers supporter. But a lovely young man, 9 years old. We'll also ask the people at Cape Etc. did a little story, inspires everyone around there. But I asked him on the way in, how far are you to your bike? And he said 40%.
Wow.
So he still needs 60%. So thanks a lot. Thanks for dropping that off.
Sure, well done.
I took a little video of him right where Egg Chasers sat, and we did that interview with him as well. So if you have anything you want us to chat about that gives back to the community, we're here to foster young business, new business. And as Zal says, enough of the meat. Give us some cash. No, he's just joking there. We don't want cash, okay? We don't want cash at all. But we do want a lot of ton. And the whole thing about the ton, people always talk about, why do we say, where's the ton? It's like, why box by 10? And we've explained that story ad nauseum.
Yes.
But when Ollie was at Sax in the junior school and high school, the director of rugby is Kirsten Marshall, who's a wonderful, wonderful rugby man. He coached... the under-13s director, coached the UCT under-20 side, and he was very inspirational to Ollie in his junior school days, and like really through like difficult periods as well, he was there for him and that. But Ollie would always say that with Mr. Marshall, They were allowed to eat in class on one condition: bring me the tong.
Hand
So
it
they
over,
had,
kids.
They had to arrive with biltong for Kirsten Marshall. And once the ton was handed over, it was carte blanche in that
Go for it.
you could eat, bring out your sandwiches, talk shit, do whatever you wanted to, but it was bring the ton. So Kirsten, again, never forgotten. Keep on inspiring at that school, and as you do with the Sachs Junior School and what you've done with UCT, etc. Looking at the 2009 champions, the side that beat the All Blacks 3 times in a row, won the series against the British and Irish Lions, the side that Richie McCaw said in 148 tests is the best he's ever played against.
The Untouchables.
The Untouchables, okay? Then looking at the 2024 Springboks, they played 6, won 5, won the Rugby Championship, destroyed every team out there. We know it's a 23 on 23, it's a gimme in terms of this team is better. 15 on 15, lots of debate. But we also got a very interesting question to say, who is the common denominator if you and I have to pick a team from that 2009 championship starting 15 that won in Hamilton 32-29,
Yep.
the France Steyn final, 2 monster 60-meter penalties, to the side that won in Nelspruit against Argentina 48-7.
So the guys that we would unanimous selections.
Unanimous selection.
Okay.
All right. Kick it off, my man.
Okay, so we're gonna go. We'll go from the fatties down to the fasties.
So you're starting at fullback.
Let's start with Lucette prop. I will take. I love Oxenchair, but I'm going to go beast. Mr. Triceps, holding Bucky's Buerta behind his head from kickoff receipts. I'm going to go beast him to Arira at Lucette. Who do you got?
I'm backing him.
Okay, so we're unanimous.
Unanimous on one.
Okay, hooker. It's a tricky one. Played a couple of different guys there. So we had Bismarck and John Smith for the 2009 team. Though Smitty moved to tight head at times in 2009. And obviously this team's got Bongi and Malcolm Marks. If I have to pick a guy, I'm going to go with Bismarck in his prime was a machine, but I'm going to go Malcolm Marks.
I'm going Bismarck, so it's not unanimous.
Okay.
There. So one is unanimous. Okay.
Tight head prop. There is only one selection. It's not even worth mentioning the other guys. It's the tractor.
All the way from Bredasdorp.
From Bredasdorp.
20 k's from Arniston. My favourite place. Spiritual home to Gill. My spiritual home. Pike's Placenta's buried there. I love that junior school, Bredasdorp. Overberg.
The short
France
answer
Malaba.
is France Malaba. Okay, forelock. Everybody's very excited about Urban. He's the most capped Springbok ever. Best biceps, mean stare, killer player. But I'm going to go with Bucky's Buerta at number 4.
I'm going Bucky's as well.
Unanimous selection.
Unanimous selection. Bucky's.
Great.
Bucky's in his prime, eh?
Great.
And
5
remember,
lock.
we're talking about prime now, eh?
Yeah.
And the way Eben has matured, he's become a combination of Victor and a Bucky's. Don't choke on Sam's
Bulldog.
Sam! Somebody call 911!
I choke up whenever I speak about Bucky's.
But we're talking in that 2009 season compared to this 2024 season. So, yeah, Bucky's and obviously...
At 5, Ruan Nokia.
Yeah, Roanoke here without a doubt. Eh? Roanoke here, also known as Victor Matfield. So Victor Matfield, Bucky's, we never go past them as a lock combination. They are. So that's unanimous. Let's get to 6. It's Heinrich Brousseau or Sio Khaleesi. Come on.
Got to be Sia. Captain Khaleesi.
Captain. Heinrich was a great player.
Very.
But the all-round package, it's Sio Khaleesi. You're
Plus,
right there, mate. That's some of your water.
Our team needs a captain
And-
because we didn't pick John Smith, so...
Well, I picked Sio Khaleesi, and then his captaincy comes into the mix. I don't pick him because he's the captain.
Okay.
I pick him because he's the best 6 around.
Okay, 7.
Have you got that, mate?
I picked Captain Khaleesi.
Okay.
We're unanimous.
You need to take some water there.
I need some more Wilton.
You need some more Bolton, okay? You're looking like this is a show now. Start eating some. Have a nibble.
I'll eat when I'm ready.
Have a nibble.
Number
mate.
7.
Oh, come on, number 7.
The Sheriff.
And look what he's up against. Jean Smith, one of our favourite players, and an absolute icon of the game. Just a brilliant player, the hard man, an acer. You know how good you've got to be that there's a unanimous decision ahead of Jean Smith, and that is Peter Steph de Toy.
But, mate, by the narrowest of margins.
No,
like
not for
Sean
me, mate.
Smith, mate.
No, Jean
Woo!
Smith was brilliant, but Peter Steph de Toy is like, he's from another planet. I think Elon Musk can take him to Mars. They asked on that show as well, Justin Marshall and Jerry Paul, the host, asked, like, Do you think he's a farmer? He looks like there's farm
You think?
blood. Do you think he's a farmer? Come to the Swartland. Hy is 'n boer.
Hy is 'n boer, ja.
Mansberg is 'n boer.
The Malmesbury missile.
No, it's like it's in the family blood. It's in his rugby genes. The power, the strength. His grandpa, the fact that his dad donated his hamstrings basically to him to fix his leg. That incredible story that he nearly lost his leg 3 years ago. Peter Steph de Toy, the engine on that guy, he's like the bionic man, okay?
He's a highlight.
So he gets his unanimous, and then 8.
That was a tough choice. That may be the hardest choice.
Yeah, it's Jasper Visser or Pierce Spies, and you're not a fan of either.
Exactly, mate.
So you pick Bob Skinster.
No, I went with Bobby. No, I went with Jasper Visser. If I have to choose between the two of those two guys, I'm going to go Jasper.
Well, I went with Pierce Spies because I was a huge Pierce Spies fan, and I just thought he did a lot of incredible things at number 8 for the Bulls and the Springboks. And yes, he may have been a bit of a ruck inspector.
I was going to say.
But there were also wonderful qualities in his attacking play. And in today's game, he would have been ultimate because he would have played on the wing.
I was going to say, it'd be a great
8.
number 11, mate.
11, 14, and 8. So
Yeah.
Pierce Spies, 9, unanimous. Free to print.
Free to print, no question. Next one.
10. So 10, we had Ruan Pienaar playing back in the day there. But we also, for the most, had Morné Steyn in that season. And we've got 10 here, Andre Pollard. Now, that is one tough call. Pollard or Morné Steyn.
Oh, mate. I don't think I can make this choice. I have to go Morné Steyn.
And I'm going Pollard. So that's not unanimous. 11,
There is only one, mate.
Habanero.
Habanero.
Brian Habana. And again, people forget just how good that guy was. Eh?
I don't know how.
67 test tries, so many brilliant tries for the Lions, the Bulls, and the Stormers. And then went to Toulon, was equally good there. But people forget very quickly. People forgot that Sasha played 3 weeks ago.
Correct.
It's just now Marnie.
Ask Polly about that.
5 weeks ago, they forgot that Andre Pollard won us the World Cup.
Yeah.
So I remember Joe Van Niekerk saying at one stage when he got his injury, everyone's talking about Pierce Spies now. I remember Bob Skinner saying, everyone's talking about Joe Van Niekerk. It's how quickly it changes. And on that, we wish Sasha a huge recovery and a quick recovery. Rest well, come back stronger next year, look after that knee and kind of come dominate the scene for the next decade. But what this Rugby Championship has shown us is you want 3 players in each position because not one player is going to go through untouched, be it a fly off, a prop, a fullback, a flank, a midfielder, a winner, a lock.
Steady on there, mate. The Wallabies are just trying to get one player in each position.
No, it's just so Sasha, rest well, come back. But yeah, so Habana on the one win, and then we are seeing something special with Cheslin Colby, without a doubt, on the right wing. Again, you've got a JP Peterson who was outstanding in his career, but just what Cheslin offers you. And you were not always a Cheslin fan.
I was not always a Cheslin. Well, not that I wasn't a fan. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal on the ball, but when he came through, the defense that we were playing was one-on-one tackling. Here, Aplon and those guys were having to make one-on-one tackles. Then Jacques Nienaber invented a defense that brings the best out of little guys and hides their weaknesses. And Cheslin Colby came roaring back to life. In 2015 or 16, he was getting run over by Naholo and others. And I thought, there's no ways you could put him out there on the edge, isolated, making one-on-one tackles. And I think Jacques saw the same thing. Reworked the defense, came up with a way to get him up fast. And so he arrives with the ball, and now he's a machine. And I mean, what that guy does in terms of, his value per pound, he punches way above his weight. He's physical. He's been bouncing a few tight forwards from New Zealand.
Especially their captain.
Especially their captain, man.
Eh? That's what happens when a Scooty hits a bus.
He's thriving. I just think Keo Zels must be looking at rugby today and thinking, man, timing is everything. Because if he had come through now, that guy would have been unstoppable.
Keo Zels, the original Cheslin Colby. But as Keo Zels would say, that Cheslin Colby is a V8 version of Keo Zels. I've heard him often talk about just how brilliant Cheslin Colby is. Brayton Pauls are saying the same things. But if you look at the pioneers in those positions, Paul Brady scored some fabulous tries for the Stormers, for Western Province.
Brayton's so underrated.
For Clermont.
Yo.
And Clermont. And then obviously for the Springboks. Just remember the tries he scored, the somersault, the flips. And then 1999, playoff for 3rd and 4th place. fantastic individual try against the All Blacks. The only one in that game. We
Chip
won
and play.
22-18. Christian Cullen chasing him down. Tana Umaga chasing him down in the wet conditions in Cardiff. I was there that night. It was an awful, awful game. The All Blacks did the hokey pokey, not the haka. They just didn't want to be there. It's the time it's no one wants to play their third and fourth playoff. But we did. We won 22-18. The difference was Brayton Paulse on the night. Playing in a jersey that was 10 times too big
I
for
was
him.
just going to say that, mate. That was back in the day when the jerseys were one size and they absorbed a lot of water.
No, and it was just like, and I spent time with him when we were in the Springboks at that time. But could they never get his jersey size right?
Man, if that guy ran into the wind, he was like a sail.
I mean, that jersey was fit for Ollie LaRue
Totally,
and
mate.
for us to run.
Totally.
And he would have to put that thing on, add an extra 10 kilograms to him. But Brayton Paulse, just, if you know him from being a TV commentator, go and watch his highlights reel.
Bingo.
Incredible player.
What I loved about Keo Zels is that even though he was a diminutive outside back and he was a speedster, which is the same as Cheslin, that guy, nobody else could do what he did in that he was able to step somebody without losing any speed at all. I don't know how he did it. I've never seen anybody else do it. He'd be running at full tilt, sink his hips, deep step, and just change direction and not lose any speed at all. So when they kicked deep to that guy, he just used to carve Oaks up. It was incredible. Where Cheslin's the guy who makes you miss in the phone booth. Old Heo just absolutely carved teams on counter-attack.
I remember going to the Green Mile and Solly was consulting with UCT and they played against Stellenbosch in the wind. And obviously Stellenbosch caned them. And I said to Solly, what are you making of that? He said, I've just seen another Springbok at fullback. It was Keo Zels. He said, this guy is just sensational. Solly also one of the pioneers of understanding proper talent in this town, in South Africa.
Yeah.
Done a great job for World Rugby. When he was coaching Ulster, obviously went to Worcester. But yeah, Keo Zels. I mean, whenever we talk about these guys today, we've got to give people a history lesson of who came before them. And that's Brady, Keo Zels, now Cheslin, Colby. So he's unanimous. Fullback, I think it's pretty unanimous as well.
Has to be Francie.
Francie Steyn.
The big boot.
The big boot, you don't go past him. A guy who won 2 World Cups. He won one at 20 in 2007. Just incredible in his debut against Ireland in Dublin. Won a World Cup as a senior statesman in Japan 2019. And but for the knees finally going, would probably have gone to the 2023 World Cup as well. He is now head of rugby at the Cheetahs. We talk about once in a generation kind of talents. Frans Steyn played 5 years in France and didn't play for the Springboks for 5 years. Had the fallout with Heineken at the time. But I'm so glad he came back and kind of sealed his career with a World Cup win.
And Frans Steyn had that superstar feeling about him when he hit the scene. That's the feeling you get with Sasha. There's like electricity about guys like this. Like these guys can make something happen anytime they're on the ball. Frans was just that phenom.
And I'm going to tell that I've told this story before, but for those who only tune
missed
into our show a lot later on, when Frans first made that 2006 tour that he made his debut on, Anne Murray, who's the first lady of Springbok Rugby, fortunate to work with her, also pen her story. She was with the Boks for like 20 years, the mother of the Boks, okay? And they came back from tour and Frans got hold of her and he said I think back then he called it Tannie Ann Lee, ek is nog nie betaal nie. And she said, well, it can't be, everyone's been paid, it's now December. She asked, did you put in an RP5 form? He didn't know what that was. And she said, it's a tax form. And he said, no, he hadn't, because back then he was in the academy at the Sharks and he was on 3,000 Rand a month and they kind of look after them and that. So there was no reason for him to do that. And so she said, okay, I'm sending you the form, sign it, send it back, and the money will be transferred this afternoon. And then she got a call about 5 minutes later, she said, and he said, my pa wil net weet, hoeveel is dit? And then she told him the amount, and he said, kan ek 'n bietjie sit? So she always says to me, he was so humble and so gracious and just stay there. And she said to him, Frans, just never change. Just be that guy.
Wow.
And by all accounts, he has never changed. He has
Wow.
been that guy and likable, lovable, and just one of the best. So a unanimous decision there.
100%.
And so glad that he's still involved and he's back at the Cheetahs, where it all started for him at school. And there's a wonderful story about Frans as well, playing for Grey College.
With Jake?
No. Well, there's a couple, but playing for Grey College. And he'd never basically played in a losing team. And I think in his final game at school, and if I'm wrong here, guys, point it out to me. Those guys from Polrus, from Grey College, and they were playing down in Stellenbosch. And Grey College were 3 points behind going into the last minute, and they got a penalty, and he could have kicked it to draw. And he went for the quick tap, and he was tackled out in the corner. And his response was, he came to win a game, didn't come to draw a game.
Beautiful.
And
mate.
that was kind of the mantra that he took through all the time. What a competitor. And I remember Jake White taking the Springbok squad in 2004 to watch Grey College play when they were in camp pre-Island. And he took them to watch a kid play because he said he'd be your teammate at the 2007 World Cup. And it was Frans Steyn. So Jake White getting that one right as well. He got Peter Steff to toy right.
He knows a good one when he sees him,
He
mate.
does know a good one when he sees him. So Jakey and Jake, thanks again for taking the time to chat about Ruud Nokia, to Nick Mallet, to Rito, to Dobbo, and obviously to Heineke. Any other questions you want us to ask coaches, to ask players? We do have a kind of a hotline to them. We can give you some of their insights. It's not just myself and our level 3 man here, Ricky, a.k.a. Zels. Looking at the URC.
Look at it, mate.
Look at it.
Look at it. Stormers need to bounce back this week.
All right, but
in Italy.
But before we get there, the eBets, the El Centurion, those of you guys who went onto our affiliate program, put down a wager or two, made some money out of it, which meant we made no money, but it's all in good spirits. Craig Brook, you are the winner of the El Centurion 13-month mature.
Congrats,
and the other
buddy.
one that's probably going to take you out within an hour. Okay? It's hardtack.
It's real stuff.
It's like Robbie Kempson and Andre Fenter, the original Andre Fenter, used to always room together. And geez, then they could train, and they were the fittest guys around. But Robbie Kempson would say that Andre Fenter would always tell him he's allowed one beer, but no hardtack.
Turns into a monster.
And Robbie used to like tequila, and he said, no hardtack. Okay, so, but this is hardtack, but the mature, I'm told, 13-month one is a lot easier on the tongue. Looking at this weekend, we did kind of cover last weekend's games. 2 South African wins at home, 2 South African defeats away from home. Again, just how difficult it is to win in the URC away from home, and how difficult it is made because I think it's the greatest league, better than top 14, better than Premiership, better than Super Rugby, but with the worst match officiating.
Oh, mate. Terrible. And you must see the referee lineup this week. Let's not get into it, but hideous.
You know, and I keep on, every time I bump into Tapa Hennon, who is being tasked, and I don't know what Tapa did in a previous life, because he has to try and get these Oaks ready. Tapa and I share the same birthday, the 6th of June, by the way. But when I do bump into Tapa, it's usually just before a final in South Africa, because we tend to host them all. And he's like, shame, he just has to grin, grunt, and bear it, because what he's trying to do with those referees, but each time they just let themselves down. I mean, the Stormers, and it's not an excuse. Rito's not making an excuse. Dobbo not making excuses, but 4 scrum penalties that they should have got that they didn't get.
Yep.
And the URC admitting it. It's a little bit too late.
Exactly. Now what?
You know, now what the result is in the books, people
Correct.
are saying you started your season badly.
Yeah.
Coach killers. These
Yeah.
referees are coach killers.
Yeah.
And invariably the home team gets the bounce of the ball, whether it's in South Africa or up north. And that needs to change.
I think we also need to get, like, I don't know how to incentivize it, but we need to try and get Rugby Manna refereeing games. Too many of these guys look like accountants. We need to get some Oaks who, maybe they're not the most accurate. But
Don't
just
speak about Johnny Kaplan like that.
no. Capo was great. But I mean, I'm just saying we need like somebody who's just got a bit of balls, a bit of backbone. Just, you know, I don't know. Just somebody with a feel for
Egon
the game.
Seconds.
Yeah, maybe not Egon, but you're killing my argument here. I just feel like just somebody with
Rasta.
with a bit of, I don't know. I just feel like the Oaks are looking at the ledger, mate. Just somebody with a bit of guts. Let's get a gut. That's what I love about Reynal. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the crowd. He doesn't care about what's popular, the narrative. He's just going to blow it how he sees it.
And who's that Georgian?
Yes. Yeah, I like him.
He doesn't mind going to New Zealand and officiating matches that the All Blacks lose.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
For 40 minutes in Wellington, I thought, okay, this guy's striking again.
Yes. Yeah. Francis Steyn would make a great ref. Hey? If you could keep up with
No,
it.
I was just going to say, yeah, maybe a great TMO, but
You just hear him breathing on the mic.
a great TMO. Stay with your on-field decision. There's a question I want to ask you that's intrigued me always.
Yes.
You have a television camera there, okay?
Yeah.
For a reason. It can zoom in and see if the ball's been grounded. Now, often I see on those maul tries or something close to the try line from a pick and go, the referee's in the wrong place. He's on the other side, so he can't see anything. Then he runs around when everything's finished, And then he doesn't award a try because he couldn't see anything. Then he goes upstairs and says, it's not a try. My on-field decision is no try. Give me compelling evidence of that. Why does he not just say to the guy up in the TMO box, try or no try? Because I couldn't see anything.
Mate, we're going to triple the time on the show if I get into this conversation. But first of all, there should be no TMO. There should be no video replays and decision making. The referee should be the final sort of arbiter of what happens on the field, number one. Number two, American football has solved so many of rugby's grey areas 75 years ago. Why does the ball have to be grounded? How many times do we see a try awarded when the player technically did not ground the ball? And I'm not talking about in a maul. I'm saying a winger runs, Peter Hendricks runs, scores in the corner, slides, the ball's in his arm, it never touches the grass. Try. Why does the ball have to touch the grass? What is the point of that? So, American football, they just said if you're in possession of the ball and you cross the line, it's a touchdown. Rugby can do the same thing. There's no need for the ball to have touched the grass, clearly.
But also, if you slow a ball down to the frames that they do, it looks like everyone has lost that ball going over.
Always.
So in real time, you know he's grounded the ball. Where's the separation? Now, also that thing of some rule on separation, some rule on downward pressure, and it's all interpretive.
And also, so on that point, if you're going to use the TMO, why do we have to be 100% accurate at the try line, but we can be 30% accurate between the two 22s? It doesn't matter there. Now, that's how you got to the try line, but we don't TMO that. Anytime somebody scores, let's stop the whole game, let's put the world on pause, and let's pick it apart.
For about 5 minutes.
It's ridiculous.
To speed up the game.
Exactly, mate.
All right, okay. We did digress slightly there, but I
Yes,
know it's
we
something
did.
that irks a lot of people out there.
Indeed.
Looking at the games this weekend, we have the early game in South Africa. They're all Saturday kickoffs, am I right?
Yes.
We have the Lions up against Edinburgh, and that's going to be a bloody good game. because
Bloody good, mate.
Edinburgh are a good side, man.
Bloody good side.
But I like the Lions.
Well,
Give me the roar!
Oh, we love the Lions, mate. We want the Lions doing the Manos.
Cash front run and the Lions. Show
Yeah.
us your mean.
Yes, I like those boys.
I love the way they play. And I know people misinterpreted a lot earlier in the week. What we said is, why don't people go and watch the Lions play? We're not meaning, why don't they go watch the Lions? It's like, why don't they want to go to Ellis Park? I mean, apparently that the bus system and the train is working now. We need Gator McKenzie to lead us in there.
No, but I think often what happens is when the sun's shining there, the guys are at the beach. So
The Randburg Mall.
they're at the Randburg Mall.
Yeah, that one, the Randburg waterfront.
Yeah.
They're there. But yeah, the Lions, I've got the Lions to win this one. I've got them to win it by 12 points
Oh, I like that, mate.
in a high-scoring thriller.
I've got the Lions to win it, mate. I actually don't know what I said, but I'm going to say 8 points.
And if there's only one reason to watch the Lions play, make sure you're there for kickoff and make sure you're there for the first 11 minutes and watch that Oakway number 3.
Oh, 100%. The first 11. You're giving him an extra 5, mate. I love Ntlabakanye. I think he's fantastic.
Spell it.
I can't spell it. Glorious player. Eric Cronje at outside centre is another Oak who's a problem. I think that stiff arm of his is definitely a massive weapon. I like that team, and I'm not sure how good a fit Cade Volhouter is for how they play, but if he can loosen up and sort of fit into that Lions scheme, I think they're going to be dangerous, and that boy can kick his kicks. So the Lions are on the prowl.
Have you ever seen a fly-off make a break? Not believe he actually got through, and still not believe he's actually not being chased. I mean, that was one of the great reactions. Was he stepped? I don't think the opposition had ever seen that guy step before. He went through. He didn't go and stick it in under the sticks. He ran to the corner flag. It's like, if you're chasing me, it's the furthest distance.
Yeah.
But the shock on his face that he had actually scored.
I'm through.
It was schoolboy-like. It was
Yeah.
just wonderful.
Great.
So,
Rabs, the winger.
Yeah.
What a beaut.
and so Lions to win that one. And I like Ruan Venter. Good player.
2024's Kuni Oosthuizen.
Yeah, I can see him knocking
He's
the
a
guys out.
monster.
Just rugby league, the NRL scout should get him for that kickoff. It takes it back 30 meters.
Exactly.
Boom. So Lions to win and make it 2 from 2, and that's a great start for them. Cash from Ruan did say that this is the season they're going to cash in.
Yes.
And they're a team that travels well. They probably travel the best of all our teams.
Well, they've got the most continuity because there's no box there. So they play together all the time and they can kind of plan around that, which is great.
But when they go over and they play in Italy, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, they just produce some bloody good results. I mean, that the one against Knacht. And for those who haven't picked it up, yeah, we know it's Knacht. It's Knacht. It's like Knacht, duck.
Yeah.
When they play duck in French, Knacht.
Yeah.
That's for my mate Gavin Rich. He always orders the Knacht.
My friend in Belleville, he said it's actually Knoit.
Knoit, yeah,
Yeah.
with a crossing.
With a crossing. Yeah.
So, but
Mate, to be fair though, if you were training in Joburg every week and you got to go to Edinburgh and play, you'd also play your best rugby.
or you got to
Come
go
on.
away,
Galway.
Dublin,
Oof.
Belfast,
Tough.
Benetton. You don't want to go to Cardiff. You want to go to Bridgend.
Oh, Bridgend.
Ask Dobbo, he's like, listen here, mate, you don't want to play in Bridgend at 25 to 9 on Saturday night.
Bridgend.
You don't want to go clubbing at 25 to 9.
You don't want to be a wing.
They
in
don't play a
Bridgend.
game in Bridgend.
No, mate. Oof.
Which end?
Mordor,
Bridgend.
yeah.
So it's tough, guys. It's tough to win over there. It's tough to play games like at 9 o'clock in the evening in Wales. More than any other place. I mean, you know the class of an Ulster or a Munster, a Leinster, or a Connacht. But geez, go and play those Welsh teams like at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night.
No thanks.
Hey, man. There's as many people at Mr. Chippy as there is on the ground. So any win over there is going to be a good one. Do the Sharks get the win against the Dragons?
Dragons. I'm going to say yes. That is a power-packed team on paper, clearly far better. And the first 40 last week, they kind of lived up to that. They just went to sleep after halftime. Not sure what was in the halftime chat, the halftime hot chocolate. But I think both of the coastal teams put together closer to 80-minute performances this week. So I'm backing the Sharks for the win against Dragons.
Back in the Stormers to bounce back against Zebra, but it's not going to be easy. Zebra 42-33 wins against the mighty Munster. 6 tries to 5. They've really improved, the Italian sides, Benetton and Zebra. And also playing in that small stadium, it's like 5,000 capacity and they pack them in.
Yes.
Gives you an atmosphere of
It
50,000.
does, mate. It's an echo chamber in there with all those folks.
So a big thing for me, Damian Willemse, I believe we're going to see him at fly-off and at fullback during
In
the
it.
game. So that will be great.
Beautiful.
See Gaza get through 80 minutes. I believe it's the return of Warwick Gelant as well. And then JD Schickeling. JD Schickeling?
JD Schickeling was outstanding in the opener, mate.
He was, eh?
Yeah.
And he's a guy that is going to push to get into that box setup.
Him and the guy from the Bulls, mate.
Yeah.
Jasper's brother. I think both of those boys are going to have.
Mr. Visa.
Mr. Visa's going
And
to
nice,
give it a good
nice BJ Dixon back as well. And let's see him play like the Sheriff. Let's see a great performance from Joe Dweber. Important that he plays well. And in the set piece, I think there was a huge improvement in their lineouts last week. I think they were 100%. I think it really does help with JD being there. And then, Dan Duplessis and Ron now, what those guys do in the midfield.
Overachievers, mate.
Yeah, no, just
very good.
And just salt of the earth kind of guys. The Duplessis brothers, so much history in that family. And Ronell, one of my favorite players. I mean, they had a lot of injuries, great sevens Bok. And I think had it not been for some injuries, he'd be a lot closer to Bok selection than is the case at the moment. But just good to see him back on the field. But the big one for me is Damian Willemse. He is just a class apart. I just have to ask a wonderful interview with the URC with Gaz. But where did that North London accent come
I don't know
from,
where
Gav?
that came from, mate.
No?
Hey, what was that about?
What's that, Damien? I loved it though, eh?
Oh, hello, bruv. My brother Ramon, him and I used to play rugby together, but now I'm just over here playing with the Springboks, and we just won 2 World Cups, mate. And just enjoying my time here with the team, and very happy to be overseas talking to you right now. I mean, what was that?
It was great. It was great to hear Gaz speak like that, saying he's going down to North London to watch Arsenal with Dido. And what a popular guy! What a popular player!
What a
He's got
classy
the two,
player,
Got
mate.
the 2 tattoos. 2019,
Make it
2020
3.
World Cup winner.
Make it
he
3.
is the youngest guy in the history of rugby, and professional rugby and amateur rugby, to win 2 World Cups by the age of 25.
Also, the only fullback in the history of rugby to catch a high ball, mark it, and call for a scrum.
One of the most iconic moments in a World Cup final. Scrum time. Was that the final or was that the quarterfinal?
I thought it was the quarter-final, mate.
The quarterfinal against France. Eh?
Yeah. Yeah, it was against France, because
And to
once
do that against
once
the
the French
host.
tight five saw that, mate,
They knew.
They all started feeling their hamstrings and their ankles.
They knew. and just the confidence that he had in that Bok tight 5 to do the business. So it's going to be good to see him back. I got the Stormers to win as well.
Nice.
But I don't think they will win as convincingly as people would think, just given the improvements in the quality of Zebri. I've got them to win by 6 points.
I've also got them to win by 6 points.
And then who have we got left? The Bulls. The mighty, mighty Bulls. Ulster against the Bulls. The one thing about the Bulls, look, I think they're going to win. But I'm looking for them to put teams away in the last 20 minutes, and they don't seem to do that.
They're starting to come back now. They're starting to find their feet in the final quarter. I think good things are on the slow burner there, mate. I think the Bulls are going to have a decent season. And I think that some of the heavy artillery they've added to that pack is going to stand them in good stead. So I've got them to win this one by 9 points.
I've got them to win it 15 points. Kane and Moody
Excuse me? You just said they're going to struggle in the fourth quarter. Now you got them to win by 15.
Yeah, because going to the fourth quarter, they're up by 30.
I love it.
So Kane and Moody, Cameron Hunter, two of my favorite players in that side at the moment, and a guy that I really enjoy watching play, and I said this, is Sebastian de Klerk on the win. Yes, the way he turned, chased down Daan van der Merwe, made the tackle, and then went to make the steal. Just that commitment and that oomph.
He's a poor man's Devin Williams.
No, mate. He's a rich man's Sebastian de Klerk.
Yeah, I do like him, mate. Lots of speed there. Speed on tap.
No, I enjoy the way they play, but just to see Kane and Moody playing with confidence, smiling again, injury-free. That guy's such a quality player. And for me, he's the ultimate 13 successor in the Boks setup as well. I see him shifting in and becoming very successful once Jesse Krill goes, once Lukanya Am goes. 2027 he'll be in the mix, but if you look in 2031, that's when I think Kane and Moody will be at his best, if he can stay injury-free.
I hope there's space in his suitcase for Walker Lowe.
Yes.
Take him with.
Well, I don't think he's ever going to take Walker Lowe with, but Jake will certainly be taking Walker Lowe
Absolutely,
everywhere.
mate.
And if you want to know how good a signing he is, it's just go and watch the playoffs last season, and then go and watch last Saturday's match. It's different Bulls
Without
pack.
him.
Without him at tight end.
Yeah.
It all starts with that number 3 jersey. As Kitch Christie used to say, you want the rechterskouer, the right shoulder. And what you ultimately want your tight head prop to do is to go nowhere but forwards. And I don't really want a tight head prop that knows how to
Catch
do the
and
reverse pass or offload, not take contact. I want one whose primary role and responsibility is to scrum. And we spoke about the late Tommy Loubser. A few people said to me, no, that was Barley Swart that I said, no, he did it to most people, okay? But I will keep on repeating it. The most wonderful line that Tommy Loubser ever did was when he played against Barley Swart. And he said to him, we've seen you scrum in the World Cup, but can you scrum in the Currie Cup? And then he proceeded to beat him up. In 1996, I did a really cool interview with Barley Swart, and I asked him about prop play and would you encourage parents to let their kids play prop? And he said, yes, the Billikies must play in there. And he spoke about what made that 95 box side so special there, and and then he told about his own initiation and his first game he playing for defence against Marty's, the god of props. Hempy's the toy knocked him out early on. He said, and Hennepin asked if he just grabbed him and ran with him for about 40 minutes. And then I said to him, is there an initiation in the prop world? And he said, yeah, you get fucked up. Thanks. So to all the mums out there,
Bring your kids down.
let your kid wear a 1-0, not a 1 or a 3, okay? You want them to play 10, not prop. Go to our affiliate program, do some betting. There'll be prizes next week. We are hoping for a 4 from 4 in the URC. But if you're not backing South African teams and you just like the URC, our international pick is Benetton against Leinster. It is Italy against the number 1 team in the world, Ireland, at Benetton, and that's going to be an interesting one. I've got Benetton to win it by 3.
No, you do not.
Yes, I do.
I do not believe you. Okay, well, I'm taking Leinster to win that game. As much as I love Benetton, Creevy's on his way over there, apparently. A bunch of the Pumas are going to be playing for Benetton. Fantastic. I'm going to give it to Leinster. Jacques Nienaber. Need I say more?
All right, he can't say more. Thanks again to Sam for this bolt-on. We're going to enjoy it. Anyone else want to send us gifts? We'll take it, okay? But no cash. just gifts. And if you want us to give a shout out to your business or to any inspirational story out there, you know where to find us, keo@keo.co.za. And we want to know one thing from you in the comments section. We looked at on the Keo blog and on the Zels and Keo show, we looked at where everyone comes from. Forget the VPNs as well. But we want you in the comment section to say, I'm from Ohio, I'm from Detroit, I'm from Petersburg, I'm from Mumbai, I'm from Belleville, wherever. Put it in there because it's cool for us to know where our audience is scattered around the world.